Welcome to The Read Along,
a mini book club for your ears.
I'm your host, Scott.
I'm your other host, Anita.
And join us on a journey through a good book,
one chapter at a time.
Do you like talking about movies? Do you like talking about mediocre movies? Do you like talking about how you could have fixed mediocre movies? Well, I certainly do, and you can listen to me, Scott C. Bourgeois, along with my co-hosts Greg Beaver and Liam Creswick, as we give our notes, and I have some notes. You can follow it now on your podcatcher of choice, or support it by visiting patreon.com/IHaveSomeNotes. Have you been keeping up on the popular culture?
Kind of.
Yeah, we were just talking as we were getting set to record that we're behind on our Marvels and our Star Warsies.
And our Star War.
There's been so much of it, and we dropped off of keeping up on it probably a year ago.
We stopped watching after the book of Boba Fett.
Yeah, I think that was the last thing that we watched regularly.
That we were we must watch this immediately.
Yeah, and after that, all the Disney Plus series that were coming out and the movies, the subsequent movies, mostly we've just kind of not been rushing to see and haven't been too, upset about it.
No. But not in I'm putting my foot down and I'm not watching this anymore. Not like that. Just in we'll get to it.
Yeah,
when we get to it.
And we just haven't.
And we haven't yet.
There's been no rush. I've been spoiled on a bunch of stuff that I haven't seen yet, and I don't care.
You're allowed.
Yeah, it's weird. It's something that, a decade ago, I would have been outraged about, and now I'm just I'll get around.
Younger you would be very disappointed.
I'll see that new Star Wars Jedi show eventually.
Yeah,
probably.
Eventually.
Yeah, it's not a big deal. So yeah, how about you, dear listener? Have you been keeping up on the popular culture stuff? I don't know. I feel like we've been inundated with so much lately that...
That's my problem.
It's hard to keep up on.
I have choice paralysis, and I'm also just being flooded with my pop cultures of choice anyway. I find it overwhelming sometimes.
Yeah, and I mean, further to that, there was a time when we were watching movies, like Marvel movies, superhero movies. They were loosely connected to one another, but you could miss one of them, and you wouldn't be missing anything. Yeah. Or you could jump on at any point and you wouldn't feel like you didn't understand what was happening. And that was something that was different than the comic books, because the comics are so steeped in their own lore at this point that you might not know what's going on if you jump on at any particular point. And now the movies have fallen into the same problem, especially with Marvel stuff and even Star Wars stuff to a certain extent. If you haven't watched all of the ancillary stuff or kept up on all the movies, you don't really know what's going on right now.
Yeah, fair enough.
So
you sort of need that.
It's a full-time job to keep up on popular culture. And I just don't have time for that anymore.
Well, when your story is dependent on your audience knowing the lore because you don't want to reteach them the lore every single time, that is a trap you're going to fall into, because it's hard to tell a standalone story when it relies on a whole bunch of background info.
Yeah, on 12 movies and 2 TV series.
Right?
To make sense.
Exactly.
Yeah. Anyway, something we were talking about, so I figured we'd spin that off.
Nothing to do with our book. Let's change topics and talk about that.
Nothing to do with our book at all. And, I'm okay having a bit of a longer preamble on this one. This is going to be a short episode.
Yeah, it was a quick little chapter.
We'll start with a brief recap of our previous chapter, which was chapter 23 of our novel, in which the girls, unable to figure out a way to help Theodore, decide to sit down and go through their evidence once again. There's a little bit of catharsis here and there. And then all of a sudden, they are under attack. The Whistler is striking. And they, correctly it seems, surmise that Theodore might be the one in danger. And that leads us into Perimortem 4 of The Undetectables by Courtney Smyth. So Theodore gets murdered again.
But does he?
Quite probably.
Okay. Also, the first 3 lines of my notes on this chapter are nothing but the word nope over and over again.
There you go.
Nope, 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 nope. This is not okay. I am not okay with this.
You kind of said you weren't going to be if Theodore was the target.
And I was right.
And he is indeed the target. He was isolated, he was shut down, and that made him functionally vulnerable to, I guess, the Whistler's magic.
Yes?
Maybe.
I assume it's by design.
Well,
right?
Yeah.
Because how else would you go after a ghost?
Jacob showed up to scout the situation and then targeted Theodore.
That's certainly what it looks like.
Yes.
For us Jacob accusers.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, Theodore gets fragmented, I guess, by the magic and is dispersed.
At least this is attempted?
Yeah, it doesn't specifically say that he is definitively dead one way or the other. It
No.
says it literally ends with, it's difficult to kill a ghost, but it's possible. But it doesn't say that Theodore is definitely for sure dead. So
Correct.
he could come back.
Maybe?
In
Like, he's
some
a
capacity.
Sam Hain ghost, so he's a special ghost.
He is also a special ghost. That's
right?
true.
I don't know. I still have so many questions and a lot of upset because I genuinely like Theodore.
Yeah, but it does kind of point to the possible truth of our theory that ghost is one of the flavors that Jacob needed for his ritual.
Yeah,
That it is
makes sense.
it's its own thing, and he needed a ghost as well.
Yeah. So first off, this is more of a note than a question, but we've moved on from torturing Cornelia to now torturing Mallory.
I mean, yeah, the only one who's kind of been left largely alone is Diana.
So far, anyway.
Yeah.
We don't actually know for sure why Theodore was targeted, because there could be many options. He was about to announce another idea of a suspect.
Which was almost certainly Jacob.
So, almost certainly. So it might be timing.
That could also just be coincidence.
It could be. It could be. Lots of this could be. Does the Whistler, in fact, need a ghost?
It certainly implied that.
I know
way, yeah.
we're leaning on that because it does seem very likely.
Yeah.
But again, there's no definitive yes or no. Or maybe did the Whistler go after Theodore specifically to hurt the Undetectables again?
I think that the reason why Jacob is circling around the Undetectables is because they're a known quantity. Like, they move around town, they know a lot of people, and he can keep them kind of dancing and off kilter by targeting people around them.
Maybe.
And it also looks suspicious that they know all the people who are dying, which points the police at them, too. So, again, it's a smart way to keep the police and the detectives on the hook and not really solving the mystery.
It's starting to look like several birds with one stone situation. Like,
Yeah.
because all of these things could be true.
To circle back to your original point, too, of was Theodore targeted specifically, I would go so far as to say that it's very probable that he was targeted if the Whistler needed a ghost, because Jacob knows Theodore the ghost and might not know any other ghosts. Ghosts are rare, especially Samhain ghosts.
Yeah.
So that could very specifically have been well, I know this ghost. I'm going to have to target that ghost. I don't have time to find another ghost. I've got 2 days.
Well, and this is the only option, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, here's a further question. If Theodore's murder is tied into this ritual, did Jacob murder Theodore at that party so many years ago so that he would have a Samhain ghost to target when it was time to do the ritual?
I was thinking that.
Because Jacob was almost certainly at that party. He would have been unnoticed, but he works for the Nightmare, and we know the Nightmare was there.
Yeah, that is entirely possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That passed through my head.
This whole thing might have been started years and years and years ago.
Setting the wheels in motion,
right?
as it were. Yes.
And then bringing it all to a head, this Sam Hain.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe there's something special about this particular Sam Hain.
Or it just like...
Now the time
preparations,
is right.
well, maybe other preparations needed to be made.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
I don't know. So many questions, right?
Yeah.
So many unknowns. Also, the fact that the girls don't know what's going on leads me to believe that this is some, like, new or simply unknown magic. They didn't know that anything could happen to Theodore.
No.
Right? So I'm wondering where the source of all of this is coming from.
The Whistler, possibly Jacob, is enacting some manner of ritual that he's clearly prepared for. So it's very possible that he has previously already studied a way to deal with Samhain ghosts. We don't know.
Mm-hmm. But again, our Whistler has found some manner of, like, unknown magic.
Well, it's not necessarily unknown because we have reason to believe that it's linked to the Turnian.
Yeah.
And however they managed to deal with the vampire uprising. So it's possible it's just ancient, largely forgotten magic. I'm ancient, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Largely forgotten magic.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, this isn't common knowledge magic, right? This is something special. This is something different. This is something unknown.
It's definitely not common magic, for sure.
Even if it's, like, super powerful or forbidden magic, it can still be known. This is not.
And that might point to something else we've been kind of dancing around in the book, which is the Turnian came to power doing something they probably shouldn't have.
It certainly seems that way.
Using some kind of magic that is forbidden and maybe has been purposefully covered up.
Yeah, that tracks. That absolutely tracks.
That might be why it's not common magic. And that could be because they don't want it replicated. It could be because they don't want the truth out about how they went about ending the vampire wars. It could be that they don't want someone to be able to usurp their power. There could be many reasons why this was quashed and kept on the DL.
So while I was writing my notes, I kind of tried to get a little deeper with it, and unfortunately it just raised even more questions. Like, what is the actual motivation of the Whistler? The goal is to bring back the Turnian, right?
We don't know that even for sure.
Well, that's our guess.
That was Observer Johnson's guess.
Yes.
And that's what the girls are working off of, but we don't 100% know that that's
Agreed.
the case.
Okay, well, assuming that they are correct and that is the goal, I'm really curious, especially because we are suspecting Jacob, like, what is his deeper motivation? What is his agenda?
We don't know for sure, but we've surmised that it could be justice related.
Could be.
If the Turnian did something bad to become the Turnian, there could be people left behind who aren't happy with that or who know the truth. And Jacob could be the legacy of that. And he could be trying to enact some sort of twisted justice because, again, all of the clues that he's been leaving behind, and even Jacob's actions towards the girls, if he is the serial killer, indicate a certain level of remorse over what's happening. That this is something that needs to be done, which, again, might even be the Turnian's original motivation as well. This is something terrible that needs to be done in order to end the vampire wars. And now he's going, well, this is something that needs to be done to enact justice against people who did a terrible crime.
Yeah. I think I'm revisiting these questions again because I was hoping that there would be more to add to it, that there would be more I could put into there to be like, oh, well, we've discovered this now. And we haven't. I still have all these questions. They're re-popping up again. I still got nothing.
Well, this was a good time to discuss them because, again, there's not much new in this chapter.
No, I'm afraid not.
Yeah.
But things are clearly happening because someone has attacked Theodore. So I think our information is going to start coming at us again.
Yeah, it's definitely things are coming to a head. So hopefully we'll learn more as we move into our next chapter, which will be chapter 24. You'll want to read up on that in time for next week. In the meantime, of course, as always, you can give us a little rating and a review.
Oh, because we always appreciate those. They're very nice.
Yep. You can also reach out to us via social media.
Oh, goodness. So many options. We are on X, Facebook, Instagram, Goodreads, and Blue Sky. And we are at the Read Along on any of those that require the little at.
Yes, you can also send us an email.
Oh, please do. We are thereadalong@gmail.com.
And with that said, as always, we love you very much, and we'll see you next time.
So many questions.
Thank you for joining us on The Read Along with your hosts, Anita and Scott Bourgeois. All Read Along music is by Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com. Cover art is by Aaron Beaver. Be sure to join us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at The Read Along, and check out our group on Goodreads.com.